Reality isn't just what you can touch, see, or measure with instruments. It's much more layered than we've been led to believe. Beneath the surface of our everyday experience is a vast and intricate web of energy fields, constantly interacting, shaping, and responding to consciousness itself. This isn't science fiction. This is a perspective gaining momentum from ancient traditions and cutting-edge science alike. We've all experienced moments where something just felt off in the room, before anyone said a word. You've walked into a space and sensed tension. Or maybe you've been inexplicably drawn to someone's presence. These sensations are often dismissed as coincidence or chemistry. But what if they're the result of actual fields, electromagnetic and energetic, intertwining around us, constantly transmitting and receiving information? In this video, we're going far beyond common motivational fluff or spiritual generalities. We're going deep into the unspoken, yet scientifically emerging truth about how your consciousness interacts with energy, and how that interaction shapes what you call reality. You'll learn how energy fields may extend from the human body, how your thoughts might be broadcasting in real time, and how you may be living in more than one version of reality simultaneously. We're going to look at ancient spiritual wisdom, but we're matching it with peer-reviewed experiments, advanced instrumentation, and quantum theories that are beginning to rewrite the rules of what it means to be alive. We'll unpack the forgotten knowledge of the body's energy centers and how your own biology may function like an antenna, sending and receiving frequency-specific information. And we're not stopping there. You'll also discover how intention and visualization might do more than shape your mindset. They could actively alter the vibrational architecture of your experience. The core question we're asking throughout this entire journey is this: is consciousness simply a passive awareness? Or is it the directive force that creates reality by interacting with the invisible fields of energy all around and within you? That question isn't abstract. It's practical. Because if consciousness is not only perceiving but also transmitting and shaping the world you experience, then your thoughts, your emotions, your focus, they matter on a level far deeper than psychology or mindset. We'll be drawing from respected thinkers, quantum physicists, neurobiologists, and consciousness researchers, alongside esoteric traditions that long ago spoke of prana, chi, and auras. Their voices, when combined, paint a stunningly coherent picture of a reality that is far more dynamic, responsive, and multidimensional than we've been taught. By the end of this video, you'll understand how energy and consciousness are interwoven, and how that understanding might unlock the next level of your awareness, personal power, and even collective evolution. So let's get into it and begin to see reality with new eyes. There are moments in life that defy rational explanation. You meet someone, and within seconds you feel like you've known them forever. Or, without a word, you sense tension in the air after walking into a room. These experiences are common, almost universal. Yet mainstream science has long sidestepped their implications. That's beginning to change. Let's talk about energy fields. Not the kind powering your smartphone, but the subtle electromagnetic and biological fields that your body emits constantly. These fields have been referenced for thousands of years. Ancient Indian texts spoke of the aura. Chinese medicine mapped the flow of energy along meridians. Indigenous cultures from Africa to the Americas recognized an energetic body that mirrors the physical one. Now, science is catching up. The human body generates measurable electromagnetic fields. Your heart, for instance, produces an electrical field that extends several feet from the body. The HeartMath Institute has extensively studied this, showing how the heart's rhythms not only reflect emotional states but can also influence brain function in yourself and others nearby. This means your emotional coherence doesn't stay locked inside you. It radiates. Your brain, too, emits electrical patterns, measured through EEG. But those waves don't just stay inside your skull. In highly sensitive labs, researchers have detected measurable changes in the electromagnetic environment around test subjects during focused mental tasks, even at a distance. The implications are staggering. Thought may be a local experience, but its energetic signature is anything but isolated. Now, let's talk visual evidence. Kirlian photography, developed in the 20th century, captures the corona discharge of objects, including living tissue. When photographing fingertips or leaves, the resulting images show what appears to be a glowing field. While not a literal aura, these patterns often change based on emotional state, health, and intention. Critics have argued the effect is due to moisture or static, but even after controlling for those factors, anomalies persist. Something's being captured, something dynamic and responsive. In modern terminology, this field is often referred to as the biofield. It's defined as a complex, dynamic electromagnetic field that surrounds and penetrates the body. More than just a side effect of biology, the biofield is now being considered as a key regulator of physiological processes. Researchers are exploring how disruptions in the biofield may precede physical illness, and how rebalancing it might promote healing. The concept isn't just theoretical. Devices used in energy medicine, like PEMF, pulsed electromagnetic field therapy, are already in clinical use, leveraging the biofield to assist in recovery and pain management. Acupuncture, Reiki, and therapeutic touch may also be working through this same field-based interface. The hands of a skilled practitioner might be interacting directly with subtle energy, not merely engaging in placebo. But let's go deeper. If your body is surrounded by a field, and that field is dynamic, interacting with your thoughts, emotions, and health, then every interaction you have with others isn't just physical or verbal. It's energetic. Studies have shown that people sitting in close proximity can experience synchronized brainwaves, even without speaking. This suggests that fields aren't just passive, they're communicative. HeartMath researchers have even observed that a person's heart rhythm can synchronize with another person's brainwave. This heart-brain coupling across individuals opens the door to understanding empathy, resonance, and even intuition in a new light. It also raises profound questions about boundaries. Where do you end, and where does someone else begin? Let's be clear. This isn't mystical speculation. The human body is a source of measurable electromagnetic energy, and these emissions interact not only with your own nervous system, but potentially with the people and spaces around you. When people speak of good vibes or bad energy, they might be referencing subtle data their nervous system is picking up. You're constantly transmitting, receiving, and interpreting energetic information, most of it unconsciously. So here's the real question. If your field reflects your inner state and it affects others, what are you broadcasting? Are you aware of the signals you're sending out every moment? As we move forward, we're going to explore just how powerful that broadcast can become. Because the field isn't static. It responds, it adapts, and it can be trained. With awareness, coherence, and focused intention, you can begin shaping your energetic output, and that, in turn, may shape your entire experience of reality. And it all begins with recognizing that the invisible is not imaginary. The human energy field is real, dynamic, and vitally important. Not just as a curiosity, but as the foundation of a new understanding of what it means to be conscious, alive, and interconnected. Thought is often treated like a fleeting thing, a silent whisper in the mind, a brief personal impression. But under closer scrutiny, that whisper may carry more power and more substance than anyone ever imagined. Modern science is now beginning to understand that your thoughts and emotions are not just psychological states. They are also vibrational events. Every thought has a frequency, every emotion, a wavelength. When you feel anger, sadness, gratitude, or joy, you're not just experiencing an internal mood. You're broadcasting a pattern of energy into your surrounding field. The question is, does that broadcast matter? And if so, how far does its impact reach? Let's begin with brain activity. Using EEG technology, scientists can measure electrical patterns in the brain in real time. These patterns are categorized into wave states: alpha, beta, theta, delta, and gamma, each linked to specific mental functions and emotional states. But here's where it gets interesting. These waves don't just remain inside your head. They extend beyond the skull, creating a field that can be detected centimeters, and in some cases even meters away from the body under the right conditions. This measurable brainwave activity is evidence that your thoughts carry a frequency signature. But it doesn't stop with the brain. Your heart also contributes significantly. The heart produces an electromagnetic field more than 60 times greater in amplitude than that of the brain. This field fluctuates based on emotional state. It has a rhythm, When you feel calm or appreciative, the rhythm becomes smooth and coherent. When you're anxious or angry, it becomes erratic. These shifts are not limited to the emotional body, they're physical, electrical changes in your field. Now, let's combine that with the power of focused intention. Researchers at the Princeton Engineering Anomalies Research PAIR lab conducted studies for decades on how human intention can influence physical systems. Their experiments revealed that directed thought, particularly with emotional engagement, can produce measurable deviations in otherwise random systems. While the effects were small, the consistency across trials suggested that consciousness could interact with physical reality through some underlying energetic medium. Another landmark study came from Dr. Masaru Emoto, whose water crystallization experiments suggested that water molecules respond to human thought and emotion. Water exposed to words like love or gratitude formed stunningly intricate, symmetrical crystals when frozen. In contrast, words like hate or fear produced distorted, chaotic forms. Though controversial, the implication was bold. Consciousness, through vibrational intention, may affect the structure of matter. Skeptics have pointed to methodological issues in Emoto's work. But his core idea, that thoughts and emotions emit a vibrational signal capable of influencing matter, is gaining indirect support through other disciplines. For instance, sound therapy and cymatics demonstrate how frequency shapes form. When pure tones are played through a metal plate covered with sand, the sand arranges itself into precise geometric patterns, each unique to its frequency. This means vibration can give rise to order in physical space. Now consider this: if your thoughts are frequencies, then your consciousness may be a source of pattern-generating vibrations that affect more than just your internal state. Let's turn to ancient systems. Mantras, affirmations, and sacred sounds have been used for centuries across cultures to influence mind and body. These weren't chosen at random. They were designed to align with specific vibrational states. Sanskrit chants, Tibetan singing bowls, Gregorian chants, all were believed to influence the energetic structure of the body and possibly of space itself. Modern science is still catching up, but resonance is a universal principle. It governs music, physics, and biology. And it suggests something profound, like attracts like. When your mind sustains a specific frequency, be it joy, confidence, or clarity, it may begin to resonate with external conditions that match that frequency. This is not just metaphysical idealism. It's entrainment. It's physics. If your thoughts carry frequency, and those frequencies shape the field around you, then you are constantly participating in the architecture of your reality. And not passively, but creatively. Consider the implications. When you ruminate in fear, shame, or resentment, you're amplifying those frequencies in your own field. That can lead to chronic stress, physical tension, even illness. On the other hand, when you cultivate feelings of appreciation, peace, or compassion, you're shifting your field to a more coherent and regenerative frequency. This coherence has been shown to improve immune function, brain clarity, and emotional resilience. The inner world, it turns out, doesn't stay inside. It becomes a signature in the field that others feel, and that the environment seems to respond to. We often underestimate the power of focus. The average mind is distracted, scattered across dozens of tasks, screens, and thoughts. This diffuses your vibrational output. It weakens the signal. But when thought becomes focused, when intention aligns with emotion and belief, the field amplifies. That's where manifestation begins to move beyond concept into functional tool. Here's something to consider. If two people walk into a room, one calm, centered, and filled with purpose, the other anxious, distracted, and reactive, everyone in that space feels the difference. This isn't simply body language or tone of voice. It's energetic signaling. It's vibrational contrast. The ability to manage your inner frequency, then, becomes a kind of mastery. You begin to consciously generate the energetic pattern you want to live within. Gratitude becomes a tuning fork. Presence becomes power. Intention becomes trajectory. And this brings us to a practical pivot. If you want to change your life, it's not enough to think positive thoughts occasionally. You have to tune your frequency, daily, consistently, consciously. That's where practices like breathwork, meditation, visualization, and focused affirmations come into play. They're not passive habits. They're vibrational exercises. They align your field with coherence, and coherence creates momentum in the unseen layers of reality. So here's the takeaway. Your thoughts are not just ideas. They are vibrational blueprints. Your emotions are not just fleeting moods. They are frequency signals broadcast into a field that responds. That response might be subtle, delayed, or influenced by other frequencies, but it is real. And the more aligned you are internally, the stronger and clearer that signal becomes. You are not just a body moving through a physical world. You are a conscious transmitter shaping space with the frequencies you emit. In the next part, we're going to explore a powerful extension of this idea. If consciousness broadcasts frequency and interacts with fields, is it limited to this version of reality? Or are there multiple timelines your awareness can tap into? And shift between. Let's go deeper. You exist in more than one way. Right now, you're hearing this message, grounded in a body, perceiving the world through a very specific lens: sight, sound, memory, culture. But what if there are other versions of you that are just as real, operating on different layers of experience, governed by different frequencies of awareness? This is not fantasy. It's not fiction. It's a theory grounded in physics, supported by mysticism, and echoed by people across time who've touched deeper states of consciousness. Let's begin with physics. The many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics proposes that every possible outcome of a decision actually occurs, but in separate, parallel timelines. In one, you took the job. In another, you walked away. In one version, you chose courage. In another, you retreated. These aren't metaphorical realities. They are parallel branches of existence, equally valid, coexisting in what scientists call a multiverse. At the quantum level, particles do not have fixed positions until observed. They exist in superposition, many potential states at once. It is the act of observation that collapses them into one experienced outcome. This opens a powerful doorway to understanding consciousness not just as a receiver of reality, but as a participant in selecting from an infinite range of possible realities. So how does this relate to you right now? Your consciousness might not be fixed to just one version of reality. It may be layered, multidimensional, capable of tuning into different frequencies that align with different versions of your potential life path. This is where vibration comes back into play. Every version of you that could exist, confident, creative, empowered, or overwhelmed, limited, fearful, is vibrating at a distinct frequency. By shifting your own energy, your thoughts, your emotional patterns, you may be aligning with a different version of yourself, and by extension, a different experiential timeline. In spiritual systems, this is not a new idea. The concept of multidimensional existence has existed for millennia. In the Vedic tradition, consciousness is seen as layered: waking, dreaming, deep sleep, and transcendental awareness. Each state reveals different realities. Tibetan Buddhism speaks of the Bardo intermediate states of being between lifetimes. Mystics from nearly every tradition have spoken of out-of-body journeys, astral projections, or visionary states where the boundaries of self and time dissolve. What modern research is now exploring is whether these states can be accessed consciously and intentionally. Lucid dreaming, for instance, allows people to become fully aware within their dream state. In that state, you can manipulate environments, summon answers to questions, and even interact with intelligences your waking mind could never fabricate. Neuroscience shows that lucid dreaming activates higher-order brain centers, indicating a state of elevated consciousness, not illusion. Then there's remote viewing. Once studied by intelligence agencies for espionage, remote viewing involves perceiving distant locations or objects beyond the reach of the five senses. Successful practitioners claim to access a kind of non-local awareness, consciousness untethered to time and space. If awareness can transcend the body, and if observation can collapse probability into experience, then your consciousness is more than a byproduct of the brain. It may be a multidimensional instrument, a tuning mechanism for aligning with particular frequencies of experience across parallel frameworks. This makes reality highly participatory, not in a philosophical sense, but in a direct, functional way. Let's bring this home with practical insight. Your current identity, how you see yourself, is not fixed. It's habitual. You wake up in the morning and step into the version of you that feels most familiar. But familiarity is not the same as truth. It's just repetition. And repetition creates energetic momentum. If you want to shift into a higher version of yourself, the one aligned with clarity, creativity, purpose, you must first shift the frequency of your inner state. Not by forcing change through willpower, but by consciously selecting different thought patterns, emotional reactions, and focus points. Visualization becomes a powerful tool here, not because it makes things happen directly, but because it tunes your frequency toward a version of self where those things already exist. The subconscious mind doesn't distinguish between imagined experience and real experience. By repeatedly experiencing a version of yourself in visualization, you begin to make it familiar. And what is familiar becomes accessible. Meditation also becomes crucial. When you enter deep states of stillness, you detach from the narrative of the personality, the story of who you think you are. This pause allows you to access more subtle layers of self. In this space, new insights emerge, emotional healing occurs, and intuitive guidance often arises spontaneously. Some traditions refer to this as connecting with the higher self. Others frame it as the soul or pure awareness. Regardless of terminology, the experience is the same. You contact a version of you that exists beyond time, beyond identity. That version has access to multiple timelines. And through intention, you can begin to bridge the gap. Let's clarify one important thing. This is not about escaping your current life. It's about realizing that your current life is a reflection of the frequency you've been tuned to. And tuning is not permanent, can shift, through thought, through emotion, through conscious will. You are not trapped in this version of reality. You are participating in it, and that participation is vibrational in nature. When you consistently align with elevated thoughts, elevated feelings, and aligned actions, you begin to move into a different timeline, one where the circumstances match the new signal you are emitting. The outer begins to reflect the inner, just as it always has, but now you're doing it consciously. This is where power returns to you, not through force, but through awareness, through frequency selection. When you experience synchronicities, sudden insights, or flow states where everything seems to click, that may be evidence that you've accessed a timeline aligned with your higher potential. These aren't coincidences, they're resonance. So ask yourself, what version of me do I want to become? What emotional state matches that version? What thoughts does that version think? What does it focus on? What does it stop feeding attention to? These aren't abstract questions. They're access points. Every time you answer them honestly and live into those answers, you tune to a higher version of self and shift your place in the spectrum of possibility. You are not a singular identity. You are a multidimensional being with the capacity to access expanded layers of experience, wisdom, and reality. You are not stuck. You are not limited. You are a frequency in motion, a consciousness in transition, a creative force learning to remember its own design. Next, we explore how this multidimensional ability isn't just about potential, but about power, the power to shape reality with intention, clarity, and the unseen architecture of energy. Let's continue. Reality often feels fixed. You wake up, check your phone, go about your day, and everything seems to operate according to predictable laws. But what if those laws were more flexible than they appear? What if your internal state, your thoughts, your focus, your emotional vibration, could interact with the blueprint behind what you perceive as the external world? This is the foundation of manifestation, not wishful thinking, not magical shortcuts, but the structured use of consciousness to imprint energy into the field and create measurable shifts in outcomes. Let's be direct. You are interfacing with something far more dynamic than an inert physical world. You're interacting with a responsive energetic matrix. That matrix is shaped by signals, emitted through thought, belief, emotion, and focused intent. The word manifestation is often misunderstood. It's not about bypassing effort or logic. It's about working with the underlying architecture of experience. Think of reality like a programmable field. Your mind is the interface. Your beliefs are the code. Your emotion is the power supply, and your consistent focus is the execution protocol. To understand this, we must revisit a few key discoveries. At the Pear Lab at Princeton University, decades of research explored how focused intention could subtly influence the output of electronic random number generators. Over time and with repeated trials, human subjects were able to create statistically significant deviations from random patterns just by focusing their mind in specific ways. This suggested that consciousness, especially when coherent and emotionally engaged, could produce order within seemingly random systems. That's not all. Global Consciousness Project researchers found that worldwide random number generators showed anomalous shifts during major global events, especially those that carried intense emotional charge, such as tragedies or celebrations. Consciousness, when synchronized at scale, appears to affect the informational field that surrounds us. These effects don't function like levers, they're not instant, and they're not always linear. But they are real, subtle, accumulative, and responsive to consistency. So what does this mean for your personal reality? It means your thoughts are not just mental phenomena. They're data. Your beliefs are not just subjective, they're filters defining what energy becomes form. When you focus on something repeatedly with emotional investment and expectation, you are running a kind of program within the energetic field. And just like with any software, the quality of your inputs determines the functionality of your system. Let's look at visualization. When you visualize an outcome clearly, engaging all your senses, making the experience feel vivid and real, you are feeding that pattern into your energetic field. You're building a neural energetic blueprint. The subconscious accepts repetition as truth. And when aligned with elevated emotion, such as gratitude, excitement, or certainty, you create coherence between brain and heart. That coherence acts like a carrier wave, amplifying the signal you're broadcasting. But intention without alignment is noise. This is where many people struggle. They set an intention, but continue to feed energy into contradictory beliefs. They say, I want abundance, but carry a frequency of lack. They affirm confidence while replaying stories of failure and doubt. The field doesn't respond to your words. It responds to your frequency. And frequency is determined by your dominant emotional and mental patterns, not your occasional affirmations. Programming reality requires more than desire. It requires consistency. It requires alignment. And it requires the willingness to become the version of yourself that is congruent with the outcome you seek. So how do you code your intention into the field in a way that works? Step 1. Clarity. Vague goals create vague results. Define exactly what you want, not just in words, but in energetic signature. How does it feel to already have it? What are the emotional tones that accompany that version of your life? Step 2. Coherence. Create congruence between thought and emotion. If your mind says success, but your body feels anxiety, the field receives a scrambled signal. Use breathwork, music, movement, or guided practices to bring your system into alignment. Step 3. Repetition. Energy follows attention. The more you return to your chosen frequency, the more momentum you build. This is not about obsessive fixation. It's about establishing a new baseline for your vibrational state. Step 4. Surrender. This is where many people fall into frustration. They treat manifestation like a transaction. I visualized it. Where is it? But intention is not control. It's alignment. Once the frequency is consistent, the field organizes synchronistically, not necessarily on your schedule, but in accordance with the path of least resistance. This process isn't passive. It's interactive, and it's supported by centuries of esoteric practice. Ritual, for example, is an ancient form of energy coding. Whether through prayer, chanting, or symbolic action, rituals focus consciousness, direct intention, and embed energy into a field of meaning. Sacred geometry, color, and sound have all been used to strengthen that process. Mantras aren't just repetition. They're vibrational codes. Affirmations aren't about convincing yourself. They're about reprogramming neural patterns and entraining the field. Even physical posture matters. Mudras, for instance, hand gestures used in yogic and meditative traditions, are believed to create energetic circuits within the body. Breath patterns like box breathing or alternate nostril breathing shift brainwave states and regulate the nervous system. Each of these tools changes your frequency, and that frequency is your code. Let's make something clear. You're not controlling the universe. You're interacting with it. You're not bending reality to your will. You're synchronizing with the version of it that matches your inner signature. That's not manipulation. That's resonance. When people say, thoughts become things, they're oversimplifying. It's more accurate to say, coherent thought, aligned with sustained emotion and reinforced by action, influences the energetic framework that shapes events. That's not instant gratification. That's intentional participation. And you've been doing it your whole life, mostly unconsciously. Every belief you carry has been reinforcing a signal. Every emotional habit has been shaping your field. Every focus pattern has been tuning your experience. Now, the only difference is that you're beginning to notice and use that mechanism on purpose. So pause and reflect on this question. What are you programming into your field right now? Are you thinking and feeling in alignment with expansion, with joy, with courage? Or are you running outdated scripts of fear, limitation, or doubt? Because the field isn't judging. It's reflecting, not who you want to be, but who you are energetically, consistently beneath the surface. Manifestation is not a secret. It's a system, and you're already inside it. The only real question is, are you using it with intention or by default? Next, we turn the focus to the human body, not as a vessel, but as a signal processor wired to receive, transmit, and amplify energy. You'll discover how your biology may be designed to function like an antenna, tuned to higher intelligence and deeper intuition. Let's continue. Your body is more than a physical structure. It breathes, digests, heals, and adapts, yes, but beneath that, it may function as something far more sophisticated. A transmitter, a receiver, a biological interface between visible reality and the unseen fields of energy that surround and permeate it. This idea isn't new. Across ancient cultures and esoteric systems, the body has long been recognized as a sacred vessel of energy flow. From chakras in Vedic teachings, to meridians in traditional Chinese medicine, to the concept of the tree of life in mystical Judaism, there's a recurring belief. The body is wired to channel and modulate energy. Let's begin with chakras. In the yogic tradition, chakras are seen as spinning centers of energy located along the spine, each associated with specific emotional, mental, and physical states. There are 7 primary chakras: root, sacral, solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, and crown, each connected not just to glands and organs, but to specific frequencies of consciousness. These aren't metaphorical. They correlate to nerve plexuses and endocrine glands, places in the body where nerve signals converge and hormonal output begins. For instance, the heart chakra aligns with the thymus and cardiac center, both physically and energetically regulating connection and compassion. The solar plexus corresponds to the adrenal glands and personal power. The crown, at the top of the head, links with the pineal gland, an organ whose role is still revealing itself. The pineal gland deserves special attention. This small, pinecone-shaped gland in the center of the brain regulates melatonin and circadian rhythms. But many traditions describe it as a gateway, a transducer, a kind of internal antenna that connects the human mind to expanded states of awareness. Its structure is photosensitive, and it contains crystals, tiny calcite microcrystals with piezoelectric properties. That means they can respond to electrical fields and generate energy under pressure. Emerging research in neurobiology suggests that the pineal gland may respond to electromagnetic frequencies, internally generated or externally present. When stimulated through specific breathing patterns, darkness, or certain meditative techniques, it may help generate endogenous DMT, a molecule linked to altered states of perception. If this is true, the pineal gland isn't just a sleep regulator. It may be a tuning device helping you access higher frequencies of consciousness. But the body's energetic network doesn't stop there. In traditional Chinese medicine, meridians are understood as channels through which life force qi flows. Acupuncture, acupressure, and qigong are all designed to restore balance and remove blockages in these pathways. Science has confirmed that many acupuncture points coincide with areas of low electrical resistance on the skin and high conductance, indicating a physiological basis for these energy routes. When these systems are activated, whether through breath, posture, pressure, or focus, they influence not just local tissue, but the entire energetic blueprint of the person. A blocked meridian doesn't just cause pain in the body. It can manifest as emotional rigidity, mental fog, or spiritual disconnection. Now think about that. Physical techniques, needles, movement, breathing affect not just the body, but the field around it. This suggests that your body is both a generator and a modulator of energy, a living instrument that can be tuned. There are also lesser-known systems, like the nadis, subtle channels said to carry prana throughout the energetic body. The two most known nadis, Ida and Pingala, spiral up the spine and intersect at each chakra, forming the basis for the caduceus symbol often associated with medicine. Kundalini energy, described as a coiled force at the base of the spine, is said to awaken when these channels are clear and active. When awakened, it rises through the chakras, activating dormant levels of consciousness, creativity, and perception. Many who experience this describe it as an electrical surge, a vibrational unlocking of awareness that changes perception permanently. The idea of the body as an antenna isn't symbolic. It's literal. The brain is bathed in cerebrospinal fluid, rich in charged ions. Your bones are crystalline in structure, capable of conducting vibration. Your fascia, a web of connective tissue wrapping muscles and organs, transmits signals faster than nerves and may function as a vibrational network. Your skin responds to electromagnetic fields. Your gut contains more neurons than the spinal cord. The entire system is intelligent, communicative, and frequency sensitive. And now, technology is beginning to catch up with ancient intuition. Bioenergetic wearables are being developed to track coherence, transmit healing frequencies, or stimulate specific energetic zones. Devices like PMF mats and Rife machines use pulsed fields to influence cell behavior. Heart rate variability monitors track emotional regulation and coherence. These are not science fiction. They are emerging health tools, bridging the biological and the energetic. But no tool replaces awareness. The most powerful technology is your attention. When you bring consciousness to your breath, to your spine, to your energy centers, you begin to activate their potential. You direct energy. You harmonize flow. You increase sensitivity to subtle information that was always present but previously drowned out by mental noise. Here's the shift. Instead of thinking of your body as a container, start recognizing it as a communicator. Every posture sends a signal. Every breath adjusts your frequency. Every thought is mirrored in the nervous system. And every system in your body is responding to and broadcasting into a field of energy beyond your skin. This is why embodiment practices are not about stretching or exercise. They are about integration. When your mind, breath, emotion, and movement align, your signal becomes clear, strong, coherent. And coherence is not just health, it's resonance with higher intelligence. The ancient world taught this through ritual, movement, chant, and silence. Today, we teach it through neuroscience, biofeedback, and quantum models. But the principle is unchanged. The body is a bridge between form and formlessness, between perception and vibration, between individual identity and universal intelligence. So ask yourself this: are you treating your body as a machine to be managed or a receiver to be tuned? Are you ignoring its signals or learning its language? Are you limiting your experience to physical sensations or opening to the layers of intelligence embedded within your biology? The body isn't just where consciousness lives. It's how consciousness speaks. It's how frequency becomes experience. And when you learn to listen, align, and activate its deeper capacities, you don't just feel better. You become more awake, more aware, more empowered. Next, we move into the bigger picture, the planetary field, the collective grid, and the profound idea that consciousness doesn't just affect your world, it shapes the shared reality of us all. Let's continue. You are not isolated. You never have been. Every thought, every feeling, every signal you send into the field connects. not only with your personal experience, but with something much larger. A collective field, a shared resonance, a global energetic matrix that links us all in ways that defy conventional understanding. This isn't philosophy. It's science backed by decades of quiet, rigorous study. Let's begin with one of the most compelling examples, the Global Consciousness Project. Launched in 1998, this initiative placed dozens of random number generators around the world. These devices, designed to produce purely random data, began showing statistically unusual patterns during moments of global emotional intensity. Terror attacks, natural disasters, celebrated deaths, mass meditations, events that stirred collective consciousness. On those days, the randomness broke down. The data became structured, coherent, as if the global emotional response had reached into the machines themselves, creating order in a system built for entropy. This suggests that human consciousness, especially when unified or emotionally charged, interacts with the informational substrate of reality. There's more. Studies from meditators in groups, sometimes hundreds or thousands strong, have shown measurable effects on local environments. Reduced crime rates, decreases in conflict, improved social harmony. The Maharishi effect, named after Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, demonstrated again and again that group meditation could create real, observable shifts in collective behavior. The field responds, not just to one person's signal, but to collective coherence. This opens up an extraordinary possibility. What we think and feel, consistently and collectively, may be shaping the reality we share. Not through metaphor, but through measurable energetic resonance. Think about the implications. Every time you align your internal state, when your thoughts, emotions, and intentions are coherent, you are strengthening the field. You are not just elevating your personal frequency. You are contributing to a global network of consciousness that is becoming increasingly sensitive, intelligent, and responsive. Let's step back and look at this from a vibrational standpoint. Everything has a resonant frequency. You, me, a building, a planet. When a group of individuals consistently holds a coherent, elevated state, such as compassion, peace, or unity, that frequency becomes dominant. It entrains others. Like tuning forks vibrating in unison, people begin to feel what they cannot explain. A shift, a pull, an internal echo toward harmony. This isn't wishful thinking. This is the principle of entrainment. Lower frequencies naturally align with more stable, higher frequencies over time. And when a critical mass of coherence is reached, the system reorganizes. That's what tipping points are made of. So where are we now? Our world is saturated with noise, mental, emotional, digital. Distraction fragments attention. Fear weakens the field. Division reduces the resonance. But coherence is not gone. It's simply waiting to be reclaimed by those who understand the science of presence, the mechanics of emotion, and the truth about shared consciousness. This is not a call for utopia. It's a recognition of influence. You influence the field every time you choose clarity over chaos. Every time you breathe deeply instead of reacting. Every time you hold compassion instead of judgment. You are participating in the vibrational makeup of the collective. And this isn't about volume. It's about coherence. A small number of aligned individuals can generate a disproportionately large influence. Think of a laser. A beam of light is just photons in phase. Coherent light cuts through steel. Not because it's more light, but because it's focused, aligned, and stable. You can be that laser. So can others. This also means that every personal breakthrough, every moment of peace, healing, and insight is not just a private event. It sends ripples through the shared field. It creates resonance that others can feel, even unconsciously. We've all had the experience of being around someone calm when we felt frantic, and gradually settling into their rhythm. That's the field at work. But now imagine what happens when thousands, millions begin to stabilize their frequency. When more people become aware of the mechanics of consciousness and begin to live as intentional contributors to the collective field. Not as escape from the world, but as transformation from within it. Let's also touch on another important layer, the planet itself. Earth has an electromagnetic field. The Schumann resonance, a set of natural frequencies resonating between Earth's surface and the ionosphere, has been shown to synchronize with human brainwaves, particularly during meditative and relaxed states. This suggests that we are biologically and energetically wired to connect with the planet's own frequencies. Disruption of this field, through electromagnetic pollution, chaotic emotion, or human conflict, doesn't just affect the environment. It affects us. But when human coherence increases, it may help stabilize the planetary field. The connection between human emotional energy and Earth's vibrational balance is an emerging area of study, and one that could redefine how we view ecology, psychology, and spirituality. So what do we do with this knowledge? First, we stop pretending that our internal states are private. They're not. They ripple outward. They inform the grid. They influence others subtly but consistently. Second, we cultivate inner coherence. Daily practices that regulate the nervous system, focus the mind, and elevate emotion aren't just self-care. They're energetic contributions. They're how you strengthen your personal signal so that it becomes part of a larger harmonic field. Third, we connect consciously. When groups of people come together with shared intention, the field amplifies. Whether through meditation circles, aligned communities, or global events, the collective becomes a carrier wave for transformation. This is not about control. It's not about perfection. It's about participation. Conscious participation in a field that is already interactive, already responsive, and already shaping our world from the inside out. Here's the final insight. The universe is not ignoring you. It's responding to you, always. Not just your words, but your frequency. Not just your vision, but your coherence. So the question becomes, what signal are you sending? What field are you feeding? What kind of world are you helping create? Not through effort or argument, but through presence. You don't need permission to shift the signal. You don't need credentials to elevate your frequency. You simply need awareness, intention, and the willingness to align, because the field is listening, and it's ready for the next signal, the one you choose.